Please have a welcome for the producer, Christopher Sheppard. Playing the part of Dolores, please have a welcome for Salma Hayek. Also good to have him back playing the part of Leo. Have a welcome for Javier Bardem. 2017 she was here with the party, now she's back again. Please have a welcome for Sally Potter. And playing the part of Molly, please have a welcome for Elle. Sally, just the first brief question before I hand it to the press. This film has a special role, special way, because it was in the development before the party, then you brought the party, and now you're back again. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, it's a long film to digest and to structure, and I found myself writing the party in parallel while this one evolved. But finally, the right moment came when Javier became Leo, and Elle became Molly, and suddenly it all became real.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your question here on the left, please. Yeah, thank you.
My name is Marco Rapeti. I'm founder and publisher of my own film magazine, Spirit, A Smile in the Storm. Congratulations really to all. It's a wonderful film with sense and sensibility. And the question to Javier Bardem, how did you prepare for the part? Did you contact people with mental disease or illness? And question to Sally Potter, how did you find this story?
The story I found in my life because my brother unfortunately had a form of young onset dementia, and I cared for him in the 2 years until he died, and I learnt an enormous amount by being with him about how the mind works, and I found myself wondering, where is he going when he seems so far away? And so the story after he died began to form like that, so that to make it look like that kind of illness, or perhaps other kinds of mental illness, are not always a disability. Sometimes hidden inside what seems something very tragic might be the capacity for a kind of time travel, space travel, memory travel, or all kinds of interesting states of mind. And so it really started in that very, very personal place with the enormous amount of love I felt for my brother as he succumbed to this illness, and respect really for him and anybody else in that state, and anybody looking after somebody in that state, the kind of love that becomes apparent. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it was listening to Sally and her own story and going through her directions, and also, yes, I had the chance to meet with the association in Spain of frontotemporal dementia, which they were very helpful, and they put me together with some families to see. But again, then you have to forget what you see and do just what is on her mind. And she had a very clear idea of what she wanted, and then you just go and try your best.
Yes, your question, please.
Question here from Brazil, Rodrigo TV Globo. Question to Salma and to Javier. It's very good in an international movie like this from a British director to listen to you speaking in Spanish for several reasons. I know it's your mother language, but you are part now of the Hollywood community. You are both doing many films in English. What would be nowadays the challenge and the poetry to act in Spanish again, especially in a story so touching like this one?
What would be the challenge to act in Spanish again?
Using the poetry of Spanish language to create characters.
I think that when it comes to poetry, it's never a challenge to speak in Spanish. that I've done have been in competition in Berlin. It was my first film, and my first film was a Mexican film called El Callejón de los Milagros. And so I came to Berlin for the first time with a movie in Spanish. And I come back to Berlin many, many years later in competition, again with a movie that's in English, where Javier and I have the privilege to speak in Spanish again, which is very interesting for me. And I think I am very grateful to Sally, who kept it in our language and was always looking for the truth in the characters. And I don't get a lot of chances to speak in Spanish. And then I get a chance to speak in Spanish in a magnificent film by this amazing director that I'm a big fan, with my favorite actor in the world. That happens also to be a Spanish-speaking actor.
A question here, please. Could you please stand up?
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, Anna Helmi, ZDF, television right over here. Hi, congratulations on the movie. Well done, all of you. My question is to Javier Bardem. Sally Potter really takes you on a painstaking trip to what could have been in your life, possibly. It's about questioning, decisions that we make in life. What could have been, what could have been, what would have been if you were not an actor? Is that a question that comes to mind? And Elle Felling, great job, wonderful daughter, anybody could wish for, but you have to enlighten us, please. What was Javier Bardem like when he was not trapped in his own mind on set?
I think for me this film is an extremely special film for me. I've gotten the honor to work with Sally before when I was 13, and now this is our second film together. And when she asked me to, read the script and maybe be a part of it, Javier was already attached, and I never met him before, and obviously, he's Javier Bardem, and
Scary monster.
But that was something that him being a part of it, for me, it was like, I'll have to be on screen with him, and was not necessarily scary, but I was nervous, to be a part of that, and obviously, and I knew that after reading the script of, a father-daughter relationship and something that's so intimate and sensitive as this particular relationship, that it would be, required that we on some level really have a connection and, do get to know each other. And I knew working with Sally before that she loves to do a lot of rehearsal, not necessarily doing the scenes, but just really diving deep and talking through, honestly, just your life and memories. And I remember a really amazing memory that we had in rehearsals where we were just sitting on the floor. I think I was laying back. I think I was actually sick that day. And you got me, very fatherly, got me a Coke and we were some crackers, and we were talking about near-death experiences. And it really brought us close together of really sharing our memories, and that was before filming. And so when you go right into to filming, we were already kind of there with each other, of almost feeling like two souls, in those couple months in that time frame, which is really what was so required. So we were very much in our roles, I think, on set, even if we don't know that we were, because I'm not necessarily, and you're not either, someone who really stays in the character the whole time, but still there's that sense of connection the entire time. So we were extremely close on set, I would say, and had a really amazing time. I think there's a lot of very emotional scenes and moments that because Javier is the way he is, I felt extremely safe to go to those places and be vulnerable with him. So thank you for letting me go to those places.
I have to answer back to these beautiful actresses, women that are saying those generous things that are all a lie. You guys are in front of us. You don't tell me those things when you're here. No, it's true that when I was playing the father, I was worried to get into a place where I cannot control myself. That's the whole thing. I don't know what's going to happen. And Sally was so generous and brave in allowing us and allowing me to go where I needed to go. And for that, you need a lot of security in the person you are going to play the scene with. And there was no doubt that Elle was going to be there, not only as a daughter, but as the amazing actress she is. And without you, it could have been impossible to do what I did. Whether it's bad or good, I don't know. That's for you to decide. But to go through the journey, because you were always holding me as an actor and as a father. They felt loved by you. And to do it in Mexican accent, oh my God, I was so scared. And you were helping me so much by not laughing when it was.
No, he was very good, but it was very important to him. And I thought, I got used to hearing him speak Mexican. But we're very good friends because he's married to my best friend. And next time I saw him soon after, and he was talking like, I was feeling like, what's wrong with you? You know, he really got into the Mexican part of it.
Because this story is very intense, and am I allowed to say that we shot it in 4 days?
Yeah. 3?
Yeah.
26 days.
No, our story, I think it was
4 days.
4 days. So you have to really go there and boom. And as you saw, it's a very dramatic story, the one that we're sharing. So there was no time to waste other than jumping into the pain of it.
He kept saying every morning, "Viva Mexico, cabrones!" I'm like,
And now I'm playing at Juan Cortez. You see?
Okay, your question, please.
Hello, my name is Anne-Christine. I'm from Montreal. I work for a film magazine called Séquence. My question is for Mrs. Potter. In this film particularly, the editing is extremely important, and I'm reminded of the last scene of the tango lesson with this back and forth, which is, by the way, one of the most bloody, magnificent thing I've seen on film. And this back and forth in the tango between these two other people on this music, I feel that there's something of that in the editing, in the way that you constructed the story of these back and forth. And I would like you to please comment on the particular editing. And also, when you have such magnificent acting material around you, you always want to push further, to push not only the camera further, but also what the actors can do, and they want to push further. What did you want to get from them?
Everybody wants to go further, and I think what I try and do is create a situation in which it feels as if there are no limits, that we're all striving to something beyond what we've done before, and that there is space for the longing to do that. So if you can create an atmosphere in which there is that longing and that love of the work, and that longing to go further, deeper, higher, whatever, really you watch the obstacles fall away and people take risks, and to do that there has to be a kind of safety in the air, that it's fine to take risks, including mistakes, and then go beyond that to something else. On the question of editing, I think of editing as the hidden music of a film, that you're telling a story and trying to find the way to tell a story, but there's always many ways within the material that you've shot to tell a story. And in the end, it's finding the way that seems to propel us through time, but with a kind of inherent musicality that is really the breath of the film. I think of editing as like the breath and blood of the film, that sits in this structure, the sort of the skeleton, the underlying structure of the story being told. And this one, of course, is a mixture of very physical and very metaphysical, because it's dealing with the unknowns of these parallel lives, parallel selves that maybe we all carry within us.
That was the reason also that it was sure that you did the score by yourself?
I did, yes, I wrote the music for this film, yes.
Okay, question in the middle.
Hello, it's Yannis Raouzeos from myfilm.gr in Greece. I want to ask you first of all, Ms. Potter, how you feel about this multiplicity of personalities, not just inside mental illness, but also inside the general multiplicity of ego, as it is reflected in our civilization and our thought. There is a certain phenomenology of the way you approach this thing in this film. And also, Mr. Bardem, how you feel on traveling these realities from one time to the other inside the character, and how much challenging was for you, the other two characters, I mean, in encountering this concept, I mean, of exchanging themselves with these realities from time to time as an existential question. Thank you so much.
Yeah, okay, well, I think we're all more than one thing, one being, one person, and there's a lot of fixation on identity at the moment and on a kind of single identity. I tend to feel that each of us is kind of a crowd inside of many possible selves, and we tend to choose one and perform it. Like, this is me, you know. But in fact, the me is illusory in a sense. We are full of potentialities. We're full of I could have been a contender, you know, this, that, or the other. So I wanted to explore that feeling of fluid multiplicity of possibility. We all stand at crossroads moments in our life where we could have continued in that marriage or relationship, or could have followed this career path or that, could have emigrated or not. And the premise of the film is, well, maybe when we go one direction, another part of us does continue to go in that parallel direction. And then all possible selves, in some sense, metaphysically or philosophically at least, exist. So that's the existential side of it. What was the other side?
Is there any other side? For me, I just have to focus on what I was doing. So let's say when I was doing the story with Molly, I had to get into that journey, and that was the last one we did, which was good. Because that was, I guess, the most challenging for obvious reasons. And then, but when I was working with Salma, I was into the pain of, on the thing of being connected by the true pain and love that story demands. So I didn't really, but of course she was the guardian. She was telling us where are the links between that Leo and this Leo and this Leo, because he's the same person. So when you forget, she will let you know, remember, you're the same person. So there are certain things that can be seen that reminds you the same person.
Okay. I think for me, my character particularly, I was just focusing on our story, but also my character is also really about making choices in her life. So for me, I was kind of always in the middle of something while playing Molly. There's, you know, as a caretaker, her work and her personal life is something that comes secondary, but also it could come first. So there's always this kind of balance of trying to calibrate what choices she's going to make, and then, you know, at the end there you do kind of see another version of herself.